What's up guys, and sorry if the camera is a little bit shaky or bouncy. I thought I'll do something a little bit different today. So we'll take a break from talking about IGL, we'll take a break from talking about coatings, we'll take a break from the garage, get some fresh air and talk about a subject that has been becoming a little bit more popular over the last few days for some reason, and that's brake systems for the LandCruiser. And almost like every day somebody's posting up about brakes and handbrakes and discs and pads. Well, there you go, look at this, discs and pads. And coincidentally, I've been a little bit lucky recently in that Bendix reached out and they needed a car to test and develop their new handbrake kit, the electronic handbrake kit. So it's not a sponsorship thing, they don't really care about me. I'm too small for Bendix to worry about. They've got bigger social media influencers to worry about. I'm not even an influencer, can't even influence my own wife and kids, to be honest. But they reached out and they said, look, you have a fairly unmodified 79 series LandCruiser that's automatic, and we need to finalize the development of the braking system, the handbrake system, the electronic replacement handbraking system for the automatic. They have it for the V8, they've had it for a long time, but they need to do it for the automatic. And can we borrow your car, and in exchange we'll give you some free brakes? And I said, yeah, beautiful. And they were kind enough to not only upgrade my handbrake, which we'll talk about in a second, but they upgraded the whole brake system. So pads, discs, brake lines, and the brake booster. And I thought, from my research online, there's actually nobody who talks about it that's had it done to their car. There's no shortage of people or companies who are plugging their own products, but there's nobody who's actually did a bit of a review. So I'm not a four-wheel drive expert by any means, but I've spent a lot of time studying brakes on the racetrack. So I think I'm qualified enough to give an opinion, and let's hopefully not get rear-ended by anybody. If you have a LandCruiser 70 series and you're sitting about 3.8 tons, hopefully you can hear this. Straight to a stop with ABS engaged. So that is pretty much that. Some guy looking at me down the street wondering what I'm doing. That's pretty much the summary of it. That's how good these brakes are. They really, there you go, 6 p.m, got half an hour before this park closes. They really do work. So I'll add a little bit of information on, but before we come to a stop and talk about the handbrake, at 60 kilometers an hour, a 3.7 ton LandCruiser like mine carries enough momentum, or the same amount of momentum I should say, as a brand new Porsche GT3 RS traveling at 150 kilometers an hour. So I'll throw up some calculations and comparisons of brake sizes. According to my friend ChatGPT, on its calculations, for the LandCruiser to have the same stopping power as the Porsche, it needs to have disc brakes that are 68 centimeters big, which is not practical if you want to run 16-inch wheels, right? So you can have off-road tires, let alone have 68 centimeter big discs altogether. So the only way you're really going to improve your braking capacity, it's by creating more friction with what you already have and getting rid of that heat faster. So Bendix does that by having higher friction pads that can generate and handle more heat, and they also do that by having slotted and ventilated brakes that get rid of the heat faster. So by upgrading the discs and pads, very straightforward, simple equation, you're going to improve your braking system. So that's a no-brainer. But what they did also, which really surprised me and impressed me, is the brake booster. Basically what the brake booster does is it allows somebody to press the brake pedal harder and generate more force. If you're a small person like my wife, there's no way she could have pressed the brake pedal as hard as it needs to be to stop this car, which is probably why I haven't let her drive it for a whole year. So overall, I do have to very clearly say, and I'm not sponsored to say this, a huge game changer, the brake system from Bendix. The brake booster is phenomenal. When they first put it in, it made the brake pedal feel a bit mushy, but then they took it back and did more programming, and in the process maybe they bled the brakes or something, or whatever they did. They altered it in some way, shape and form, that the pedal feels the same as the stock standard pedal, which is impressive, and it's not feeling mushy, but you get a lot more braking pressure out of it, and the pads and discs are really good. So I'm not going to harp onto that too much. Quite simple. If you need to stop the car, you need to really consider doing the booster and the pads and the discs. If you do just the brake booster, you're probably going to overload your standard braking system earlier, which is not a good thing. So I definitely wouldn't recommend just doing the booster, because all that's going to happen is you're going to reach the inevitable earlier. And the inevitable is that you're going to not be able to generate the amount of friction because the pad can't handle the heat. The pad will glaze on the disc will get overloaded or heat saturated, and you're just not going to stop. So, and by having a better brake booster, you're just going to reach that stage faster. So I would definitely consider doing the booster, the pads and the disc all at the same time, because it's a system that works together, and the lines come with it as well. So the lines will handle that higher pressure. So that's it for the braking system in terms of pads, discs, lines and booster. 10 out of 10. And like I said, yes, I got the system for free, but I'm not sponsored. They don't really care about my opinion. They just needed my car for the programming for the handbrake, which I'm going to show you now. And this is the cool thing. Let me switch this camera around. All right, so check this out. We are in drive. Come on, focus. Here we go. We're in drive. Put it into park. Done. The handbrake is on. As you can see, handbrake is on. There's a little switch here and a light. Handbrake is on. I'll jump out of the car and show you how it works. Alright, so pretty much the way this system works is you have a switch. Now this switch can be deleted if you want it to be completely automatic or programmed, however you want to do it. Switch, a light that tells you that the handbrake is engaged, which is linked to your dash light. As you can see, the standard factory handbrake is still here, which doesn't really do much. You'll see now in this video, the car just basically rolls back without, even with it engaged as hard as possible, and adjusting it is pointless. It's been adjusted only a week ago or two by Toyota when they did their service last, the 20,000 kilometer service, which, where are we? We're only at 21,000 Ks now anyway. So let me show you how this awesome system works. All right, hopefully we didn't lose too much video footage because the battery ran out. So as you can see, the handbrake is now on. The factory handbrake is down. Although it is connected, it doesn't do anything anyway. So to disengage the handbrake, and they can program it to be a complete replacement for the OEM, and you basically put it in reverse and it automatically disengages, but for the moment they didn't do that with my car, although customers can specify their own thing. So here we go. All you do, you have to press the brake. So the brake has to be pressed. If you don't press the brake, handbrake is not going to disengage. So it's all CAN bus. Press the brake, push it in, handbrake is off, that light is off, handbrake from here is off. We're still in park. You can put it in reverse and off you go. We're moving. So put it back in drive to go back where we need to go. There you go. Now this is the cool part. So, and I'll have to take the camera out so you can hear it a bit better. As soon as you put it into park, handbrake engages automatically. So the handbrake's on, lights on. I'll check that the handbrake is engaged, put it back in reverse. We're off, we're in reverse, no brakes are on. Car's going nowhere. This handbrake is solid. So that's one way to engage the handbrake. Another way to engage the handbrake is if you turn the car off. So let's go back into reverse and let me turn the handbrake off again. Make sure we have a look at our camera. Not going to hurt anybody while reversing. I am in a car park here, so should be pretty safe. Now, to my knowledge, as a safety thing, and this is programmed as part of the CAN bus, so the door is open now. Look at that. I opened the door, handbrake automatically went on for safety, even though the car is in drive, I didn't touch the handbrake. Handbrake engaged automatically. Let's see if we can override it. Yep. Let's see. So I'm gonna now start moving forward. Yep. So you can definitely override it if you want to, but if it was an accident, so let's close the door again. So as you can see, we're right now no handbrake engaged. Open the door, handbrake straight away engaged. There you go, handbrake's engaged, didn't touch the gear shifter. So that's a safety thing, that's a safety mechanism, which I think is pretty cool. And from what I'm told, if you do want to jump out of the car and do a movie exit, if the car is going faster than 10 kilometers an hour, you're going to do that and it's not going to engage the handbrake. But safety thing, if the door is engaged, it'll automatically self-engage. The next thing is this handbrake is not disconnected, so you can still have it as a backup if you want to, I guess. Let's move the car back into its parking spot. Again, disengage, and off you go. So the next thing I want to show you with this handbrake, and we're not going to talk about the Safari Snorkel yet, that deserves its own little video, is how smart this thing is. So it's even got its own little ECU. So it's all plug and play. From my understanding, there's no cutting, there's no out of the ordinary wiring. It's all plug and play because the car's standard ECU is so smart. And what they do is they connect it to the CAN bus and program it towards the customer's requirements. So over here you can see the front discs that are completely replaced, and they're not cross drilled, which I'm a big fan of not being cross drilled because they crack easily. They're dimpled and slotted, which dissipates the heat faster without increasing the risk of cracking. You got these big fellas running around here, so I hope I don't get pinged by one of them. The rear brakes, I don't know if the disc is bigger. The pad has been completely replaced and the caliper has been replaced. So what you heard buzzing when I turned the handbrake on and off is the electric motor behind this caliper. So the handbrake kit replaces the caliper completely and the disc completely, but retains the handbrake inside of the hub. Awesome. So that is how the handbrake assembly works. You're probably thinking to yourself now, you know, a few concerns. What happens if you can't disengage it? What happens if the car turns off? What happens if the car stalls? There's all these things going through your mind, and I have the same concerns as well. So there are some manual overrides in the system. So assuming that the handbrake is not disengaging, assuming that your vehicle is locked in park, you know, your door switch is being faulty, there are ways you can override the handbrake electronically. And if the entire electronic system of the vehicle stuffs up, from what I have been told is you can pop the cover off at the back on the brake calipers and use a socket to wind that piston out. So you can manually wind the handbrake in. Now, I don't know if it's possible to happen. I did ask Bendix and they said they have never heard of a case of it happening, but if you're crossing a river and you know you go in water that's too deep and the car short circuits and that handbrake engages, or if you're in mud, then you're pretty much screwed because you're not going to be able to get to that handbrake to manually disengage it. But in saying that, I don't think that's how this handbrake system works. I think there are quite a lot of overrides and smarts in there. As you've seen, you know, you open up the door, the handbrake engages. If you're trying to drive away with the door open, kids forget the door open. There's a lot of smartness behind this handbrake system. But like all electronics, it is something that, who knows, might one day have a problem, but it hasn't happened to them yet, and they've been producing it for many years. And I have seen many people have problems with the handbrake, with the cars rolling away quite dangerously, including myself in my own driveway. It's sitting on the parking pin on the gearbox, about to break my gearbox. It's a very, very, very small risk to take to upgrade to the electronic handbrake for a lot of benefit of safety, so your car doesn't roll away. So that's my opinion about it. If I do ever get stuck in the middle of nowhere with the handbrake engaged and I can't take it off, so be it, right? You'll hear about it on YouTube, but nobody's ever mentioned that anywhere online or to me or to Bendix. So it seems to be a very robust system. These guys have been making brakes, I think, for 90 years or something. So a very, very long time. So that's my review of the Bendix system. Again, I'm not paid to do this. I did get it for free, but they didn't give it to me for free for the purpose of telling you about it. They gave it to me for free because they needed it on a car that they can have for a few days or, you know, multiple times as they develop the programming. Like I mentioned, this is all CAN bus and it's all plug and play. So they actually needed to program it to suit the ECU. And that's where my car came in. Would I have bought this system? Now that I've experienced it, definitely. I just don't know if I would have gone for the handbrake first or the brake upgrade first. Probably the brake upgrade first as soon as I bought the car. I think that should be done straight away, like almost like a GVM upgrade or a suspension upgrade or a lift kit. You should just put the Bendix brakes on. The Bendix discs, pads, and booster and brake lines, that should just go on straight away from you. $2,500 or whatever it is, I think might even be a little bit less. It's worth every cent. It is a big safety thing. The handbrake, I think I would have still done, but I would have had to save up a little bit of money. But if money was not an issue, just do them both at the same time. It is such a great brake kit that everybody should have it. It's a shame that Toyota's doing what Toyota does best, which is pretty much take a dump on us idiots who buy these cars, and we love them. We love that dump because we don't complain. We don't say, hey, our antenna doesn't go up and down, and we don't have power mirrors, and we have a handbrake that doesn't work or brakes that don't work. So that's my rant. That's my opinion on the Bendix braking system. I hope this has been of value to you. It's definitely of value to me that I have experienced better brakes, and I can at least, for the first time in a whole year, let my wife drive the car for the first time in her life, because I don't have to worry she's going to smash into somebody because she doesn't have the power, or she's just never used to brakes they have to press that hard. Now she will still have to be cautious, but at least she can press the brakes hard enough to get 100% braking force and engage ABS if needed, where before you just can't engage ABS. The vehicle just did not have enough stopping power to engage ABS. And I've had a few close moments on the highway where I was almost missing an exit and almost ran off the road. So again, not to digress, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please let me know if you like this content, and I'll try to break up the detailing and coatings videos and give you some more LandCruiser videos. And yeah, definitely missed the Supra. Glad I kept, this is my only souvenir. So very nice disc with plenty of stress cracks from all the punishment it had. And that's the same disc that you see right now in the glowing red hot brake video. So thank you again. Bye-bye.